Hello everyone, welcome back to Code Escuela, and in this episode we are going to take a look at how we can deploy our Blazor application into an IIS server, right? So, what is IIS? So, IIS is an acronym for Internet Information Services. So, it's a program or a software, specifically a web server, that allows you to deploy or host your websites, web applications, so that it becomes available to either within your internet, even within your network, or publicly via the internet. Okay, so uh, IIS is only available or runs only on the Windows Server uh, operating systems. Okay, so let's say we have already done our completed our application. So let's pretend, for example, that we have this mini ERP here. So we now what we're going to do is deploy this to an IIS server. Okay, so uh, I already have an IIS server here running. So this one, I've created a virtual machine via the VirtualBox application that has Windows Server 2016 running on it. Okay, so this one has already been set up prior. So now this is our IIS server. So currently you're looking at the IIS manager. So this is where we are going to set up our application so that we can deploy our Blazor application to it. Okay, so first off is, by the way, if uh, you have access to any IIS server, whether it's on a virtual machine on uh, uh, someone hosted somewhere in the cloud, then that's much better. You can try it on your own. So, but anyways, if you have readily accessible IIS server, then you should be able to follow on the steps that I've uh, that we are going to do here. Okay, so let's say you have your IIS manager open already here, and we will start by setting up our website here. So let's right click on site and then select add website, and from here we'll just name this as Code Escuela Mini ERP. Okay, so the application pool will already be filled in for you, and then the physical path. So the physical path is the directory or the folder that will contain your published files. Okay, but we will do that a bit later. So let's just say we've placed it here under inetpub www root. So let's create a folder here. Let's name this Code Escuela Mini ERP. Click OK, and then that should be it. By the way, we also need to specify the port number. So 80 is already being used by the default website. So what we'll just try is use the port 81. Okay, and let's just uh, uncheck this start website immediately. Okay, since we have not yet added our uh, files. So let's click OK. Then that should create our website. And if you look at the application pools, it should also create a new application pool here. Okay, so now that we have that, uh, next thing to do is publish our application. So in here, since we are just going to drop in all the necessary files into that IIS directory that we just created, so what we can do is first make sure that you've selected your project here, and then go to build, and then select publish and the name of your project, whatever that is. In my case, publish Code Escuela Mini ERP.Blazor. Okay, and in here, it will set you the specify the target location, so it will be placed under bin release net 10.0/publish. Okay, so but before that, one thing that we need to make sure also is that since we are including the database itself as part of this application or embedded within our application, you have to make sure that our application DB is set to copy to output directory as copy always. Okay, so that once the publish process is done, this database will also be part of that completed publish process. Okay, so now once we have this, we can just click on publish. Okay, by the way, if you have not already created a proof profile, you will be required to create a new profile. So let's say uh, it's the first time that you've done the publish or uh, run the publish command. So we'll be just selecting folder here, select next, and then the folder location, right? And then just click next or finish. Okay, let's just cancel this one. So now that you have your uh, publish profile ready, then all you need to do is just click publish. Okay, so what happens behind the scenes is that it will build your application and then compile everything that's necessary for your application to run, and then put it in this target directory. Okay, so now as you can see here, it says here that web app was published successfully in this directory. So we can just control click on this path, then it should open our folder, right? So now this publish folder contains all of the necessary files that we need for our application to run on IIS. So now all we need to do is just copy all of this into our IIS server. So there are several ways that you can do that. If your IIS server supports FTP, then you can do transfer your files via FTP. But in my case, I'll just copy it into a shared folder between my Windows operating system and this virtual machine. Okay, so let's go up in this publish folder, and let's just copy this one. So I have set up a temporary folder here that is shared between my system and the virtual machine here. So let's go back. This is the temp folder. So let's just delete this one so that we don't have any problems. But yeah, so once you've copied the uh, publish folder here, okay, then I can just safely paste it here. So now I have a copy of the publish folder. So next thing we'll do is put all of the files in this publish folder into our IIS directory that we just created earlier, which will contain the files for our application to run. So here you can click on our website here and then click explore. It will open up our folder, the physical folder, and then all we need to do is just drop in all the files from our publish folder into this folder. Okay, so let's go back and open our temp drive here. So this is the publish folder, okay, that we just copied into our temp folder. Now all we need to do is just copy all of this and then into our okay, let's close the other folders here. So this is the Code Escuela Mini ERP folder. So this is the folder that is mapped to our website here. Okay, so now we just need to paste it here. All right, so now once that's done, we can now activate or start our website. Okay, then we can just click on this browse, and then it will open up in our default browser. So one thing that you might encounter here is that you could go or encounter permission issues. Okay, so one thing that you might encounter when you try to run your application, even within your machine or server, is that you might have errors like this. So one thing to note is that you might want to double check the permissions on your application folder so that it has access to the correct permissions. Okay, so with this one, we can do that here by checking on our event viewer here. We might have a clue here. So it says here that, yeah, it's unable to open database file. So one way to fix this one is go back to our folder here. This is the application directory or folder. And then let's right click on this one, select properties and go to the security tab. And then let's click on edit. And then let's check on this IIS underscore I user. All we need to do is check this right checkbox here under the allow so that IIS can have access to this folder. All right. So let's click apply, click OK again. And hopefully we should be able to just refresh this one and application should hopefully should load, right? Okay. So there you go. Our application now is deployed in IIS. See? So let's just generate some sample data here so that we have something to look at. It doesn't look uh, incomplete, right? So try this again. Let's just refresh. Okay. So let's generate sample data. Okay, so if you're having trouble with trying to generate sample data, so what you can do is go back to IIS and you can try and restart, click the restart here. And also on the application pools, you just select the our application pool here and then just click on recycle. So that should fix any troubles or problems with the application. So yeah, so with this one, we can now just click on generate sample data so we can generate some data and then just refresh it. And as you can see that we can now have some sample data that is being generated here, right? So now, now that you have your application deployed on IIS, it's now available uh, outside of it if you want to. So you just need to do some other configurations that might need to be done if you want it to become available like within your network, or if it's on a proper hosting service, then you can map it to a URL or domain, then you can have it uh, available publicly, okay, on the internet. So this server is available or can be accessed via its IP address. So we can access this application by navigating to its IP address and specifying the port. So this one is mapped to port 81. So let's just specify port 81 here. And then we should be able to get access to the application also, right? So there you go. Now you have your application deployed on IIS, okay? So let me know if you have any uh, comments or suggestions or thoughts about this one. If there's something that we can do better, then please let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think that wraps up uh, this episode. And yeah, I would like to see you soon again in our next episodes. And so thank you everyone and have a wonderful day. Bye.